back to Read Instead. I'm Jake. Glad to have you here today. Let's talk about how we can all read more books. Okay, so as I mentioned in one of my recent videos, that I want to try to do one topical video a week, and that's what we're doing here today. We're talking about how we can read more books. You know, you guys know that I obviously have a passion for sort of getting people away from forms of entertainment, especially social media, things like that, that really can have a detrimental effect on us. They can be addicting, and they really don't sort of benefit us in any way. When I try to share my passion, you know, with the people around me in my life, one of the most common responses I get is that I just don't have any time. Oh, I wish I could read. I'd like to read. I just don't have time. That's kind of why I wanted to make this video today. I'm no expert, as you guys know. I've talked about this multiple times, that I didn't really become a reader until my adult years. At the beginning of the pandemic a few years ago was really when I committed myself to reading more and replacing bad forms of entertainment with books instead. So it's been about 3 or 4 years now. And like I said, I'm no expert by any means, but I do feel like I've developed some habits, and I've maybe come up with some practices that I implement in my life that help me to read more. And I feel like I also can speak to this because, like I said, that's the most common response I get, is that I just don't have any time. I'd like to read more. I want to read books, but I just don't have time. You know, most of us are busy as adults. But what I was saying is, you know, I feel like I'm allowed to speak to this because, you know, as I believe I mentioned before, I'm a single father of 3 kids, and I work about 3 jobs, 2 all the time, and then there's another one that I kind of squeeze in from time to time when I need some extra money. And I still manage to you know, I try to read a book a week. Doesn't always happen, but I read dozens and dozens of books a year. So, you know, I'm not trying to toot my own horn here or anything like that. I'm completely genuine in my passion for this and wanting to help people get away from negative forms of entertainment. That's all I want to do here, and talk about books. That's all. Without further ado, let me share some of the practices that I've implemented in my life when it comes to reading. Okay, so first thing that I would say is, most people, I know not all people, but most people are goal-oriented. And what I'm goal-oriented, and I usually set goals, but what I usually do is I set a goal that's very, very high, and I sort of subconsciously in the back of my mind know that I'm going to get close to that, but not actually fully achieve it, but I will be satisfied with that result. I hope that makes sense. If you guys have ever checked out my intro video, when I had that epiphany back in 2020, and I told myself that I was going to start reading books instead of you know, doing other things, I made a goal to read 50 books in a year, and I made that goal. And I had no idea if I was going to achieve it or not, but I did read 43 books that year, in the year of, was it 21? No, I'm not quite sure. Maybe it was in 2020. It wasn't like January to January. It was, you know, a year starting whenever. But anyway, so like I said, most of us are goal-oriented. For me personally, like I just mentioned before, I try to read a book a week, and I try to get around 50 books a year in, and it is possible. It really is possible, and we'll talk about that further. But I would say the first tip that I can give is be goal oriented. And by the way, 50 books, like, you don't have to do that. Just do a book a month. Say I'm going to read 12 books in a year, and who knows, maybe you'll read 7 books in a year, and those 7 books will get you, you know, however many minutes and hours and days away from a negative form of entertainment. So that's the first tip that I'll give. Be goal oriented. Pick a certain number of books that you want to read over a certain length of time, and I think that'll help. Tip number 2 that I would give is carry a book with you, and any time there's a waiting period in your day, read instead. There's so many, I feel like, and most times throughout the week anyway, there are times where we find ourselves having to wait. Some people take the subway to work. Some people, you take public transportation, whatever. We go to an appointment. We go to the dentist. We go to the doctors. You know how I don't know what it's like maybe in other countries, but where I live, you make a doctor's appointment, you show up on time, and you still wait, 15, 20 minutes for whatever reason. There's so many times in life, it's something for me, right? Like right now, my son's going through his football season. There's just a couple games left, but he has practice 3 days a week, and I bring him to those practices, and I stay there during that time, and that's an hour and a half. So, there'll be all these parents. I'm not knocking them or anything. I'm just telling you, like, there'll be all these parents, and we all sort of take out lawn chairs, and we'll put them on the field just to kind of watch what's going on. And most of the parents, they'll be chit-chatting between themselves, but a lot of them will just have their phones out. And I take that time. I'm sure they all think I'm, like, antisocial and stuff like that, which I kind of am in some ways, but... I'll be off on the side, just getting into my book. But that's a solid hour of reading time, and if, I'm always happy if I get an hour of reading time in a day. That's a good day for me, and I'm happy about that. So, tip number 2: whenever there's a waiting period, instead of going on your phone, take your book out and read it. Okay, tip number 3: read to go to sleep. Most people, I feel like, you'll have some sort of little length of time before, between you getting under the covers and actually turning the light out and going to bed, whatever kind of routine you have. But if you want to read more books, instead of using that time to get a little extra work in on your laptop, or, answering emails that could probably wait till the next day. One thing that I've noticed, just for me, if I look at a screen for a good while, right before I go to bed, like if I let my head start nodding while I'm looking at a screen, and then I go to bed right after that, I usually don't sleep that well. That's just me, though. I don't know if anyone else can relate to that. But like I said, most of us usually have a little bit of time between the time of getting into bed and actually knocking out, that we can take that time to get some reading in. And it's a great way to fall asleep too. You got the story that's going on, and you got your imagination sort of playing the story for you, and then you go to bed, and hopefully you have some good dreams about the book you were just reading. So that's tip number 3. Instead of looking at a screen before you go to bed, read before you go to bed. Okay, the next thing I wanted to talk to you about is not so much a tip, but so many people I've talk about the speed in which we read at, and I think that can also be sort of a deterrent for people to pick up the habit of reading, because they think they read so slow that getting into a book is just an endless chore that won't finish for such a long time. And because of the slow duration of the whole process of reading the book, it's just not enjoyable. This is what I can say about that. I'm sure there's other YouTube videos out there that'll sort of tell you how to read fast. I remember when I was a little kid, I remember this infomercial, and it couldn't have been real, but it was a speed remember like the infomercials from the 90s, and it was always just the craziest stuff that in today's day and age, I feel like we'd just be like, well, that's BS. That you really can't do that. But I remember this one from the 90s where a guy, it was a speed reading, and you had to buy, it was like a VHS video, and the guy would just rub his hand. He would just go like this along the pages. He'd be flipping through the pages so fast, and he'd read a chapter in like 15, 20 seconds or something like that. And the interviewer would say, "What was that about?" And the guy would say what it was all about. I don't think stuff like that exists, but hey, if you find it and it works for you, God bless you. This is what I'll say. This is what I've experienced in my 4-year journey of reading, and with the amount that I read also. Just like anything else in life, the more you do it, the more efficiently and faster you do it. I mean, tell me something in life that if you don't do, if you do it often, that you don't get faster and you don't do it more efficiently. sewing. I'm like, I get making your bed. I'm looking at my guitar over there. Changing the strings on your guitar, tuning your guitar, changing the oil on your car. Like literally anything in life. The more you do it, the faster you do it as you repeat the process over and over again. And that has certainly happened for me. When I first started this, hobby of reading, I picked up Pet Sematary, Stephen King's Pet Sematary, from my local used bookstore, and that was right when the pandemic was kicking off, and it was like, remember, it was what was it, the 14 days to slow or something. It was like basically everybody staying in your house for 2 weeks, and that's when I picked that book up, and so I had like all day. I wasn't working. I basically was just around the house all day. It took me the entire 2 weeks to read that book, and that's not a big book at all. And today, I just read so much faster than that. If I really apply myself, I can get through a 400 or 500 page book, in a week, and that's with, a job and, like I said, kids and responsibilities and stuff like that. And it's only because of repetition. Your brain just takes in the words, and your eyes move faster, and your brain processes the story and the images in your brain. It all just happens faster, just like anything else in life. So if you want to read faster, in my opinion, you just have to read more. And as time goes on, you will eventually be a faster reader. Turn that down! Okay, tip number 4. I know this sounds like an obvious thing, but I think it's helpful. Read books that you enjoy. And this tip will obviously take some time to figure out if you're just starting off in your reading journey, it's going to take some time to figure out which genres you're into, which authors that you'll connect with, stuff like that. But if you're reading something that you enjoy, it doesn't turn into it's enjoyable, and you're hungry for the next line, you're hungry for the next chapter, you're hungry to see what happens next. So figure out what you like, what authors you connect with. Also, I would encourage you guys to use the tools that we have, like all these these YouTube communities that we have, these different YouTube channels that are based maybe in fantasy, maybe in science fiction, romance, whatever you connect with. I'm pretty, when it comes to genres, like, I'm pretty open-minded. Just it's the same with me when I watch movies. I don't have one particular type of movie that I watch. I like action movies, I like romance movies, I like historical fictional movies, everything. So that's why I sort of take in all genres. But if you're not like that, then I would say find what you're into, find different authors, use something like Goodreads and read reviews and stuff like that. So read something that you're interested in, and you will consume it faster. That's what this channel is about. I titled it Read Instead for that specific reason, because I'm hoping that, and I know that my experience with being addicted to social media and screens, I'm not alone in that. So I'm hoping that if anyone else finds themselves sort of too connected to screens and social media and stuff, and want to replace it, I hope that this channel can help you do that, and not just me, but all of us here. So that's it. That's all I got for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it was helpful. Till next time, take care.